I am going to Nuzlocke one game from every single generation of Pokemon that's ever came out. Starting with the first Pokemon game I ever got, Pokemon Yellow, Special Pikachu Edition. Now, I had a really hard time convincing my parents of spending the $110 required in the 90s to acquire a Game Boy Color and a copy of Red or Blue, which would propel me into a lifelong hobby a year early, but was eventually able to sway them anyway with reasoning and child powers to get me a copy of the one we're playing today. So I missed Red or Blue, but I at least got Yellow. We're playing typical hardcore rules, battle mode is on set, and the level cap for my Pokemon is set to the highest level Pokemon of each gym leader. So without further ado, let's get this thing underway. So the game starts off with Professor Oak catching our first Pokemon, one of which that doesn't even exist in the wild of this game. In this world, the sacred rule states that if you do not possess a Pokemon, you cannot enter the tall grass. So who caught Professor Oak's first Pokemon? And who caught the first Pokemon ever? So in this series, I want to go over all the rivals in all the games too, and we're going to judge them in two different criterias. Criteria 1 is going to be their technical ability as a trainer, and Criteria 2 is going to be their attitude towards the player and the rest of the world, so like, are they a piece of garbage or not? And as you can see, he just stole our first Pokemon, so I'm going to have to dock him some moral points for that one. At this point, I think Oak's starting to feel bad, so he gives us the Pikachu he caught earlier, which we named Jade. And by the way, all the Pokemon in this series are going to be named either by or after my viewers, and if you would like, you can check me out on twitch.tv/golden_tater.
Brutal wants to fight! Brutal, sent out Eevee!
And just like that, Gary has turned his bullying into assault, and we start our first battle, which can kind of be a little bit of a coin toss in my experience. And we actually came really close to losing this before it even started. So the critical hit system in this game's kind of busted, but thankfully the AI can be dumb a lot of the time.
Hey, tail! Oh my god! By the skin of my tail!
As you can see, Gary opted for the tail whip instead of the killing blow that was available, therefore I am going to dock him against his technical ability as a trainer. And just like that, the first and one of the most dangerous battles in the game is done. We make our way to the Vermilion City Pokemart just to find that Professor Oak has been too busy catching hyper-rare Pokemon, so we need to bring him his parcel. And would you have guessed that he needs us to do another favor? But first, we need to get bullied by Gary again. So up until this point, Gary's been pretty innocent with his insults, but he gets pretty personal this time, telling us that he doesn't need us and that he's going to forbid his sister from giving us a town map. But we outsmart him and get the town map anyway and dock him on morality. So we make our way back to Vermilion City, and we do what any 9-year-old child would do with 3,000 yen and spend every last dime of it, and the realization finally hits us that we are a 9-year-old child entrusted by our mother and Professor Oak to go on a world-spanning adventure with nothing more than a level 6 Pikachu.
Grass, and they're like super fucking rare. Oh my god, a female Nidoran! First encounter, level 6. Nidoran right fucking now, you're mine. Pokeball, go! I got it!
And just like that, we scored our first Pokemon, and a really strong one. We headed from Route 3 back to Route 1 to catch our second Pokemon, Wu-Tang Shang the Pidgey, and then this happened.
No shot.
Yes! Dude, I got the fucking Mankey!
You got the Mankey, dude. Handle that with care.
Pokeball, go again. Come on. Stay in there, you fucking piece of shit. Oh, I got him.
We coaxed him in the second ball with verbal affirmations and named him after the homie Better Shelf. So we run into Gary, who immediately starts belittling our ability to obtain any badges, but what he's saying isn't that unrealistic, so I'm only going to dock him a little bit on morality for this one. With a few levels on our Pikachu and our Mankey, there's honestly nothing he can really do against us, and with all of his talk, he's pretty underwhelming. We do end up catching a Caterpie in Viridian Forest, which we named DBA. We skirt the rest of the way through Viridian Forest and make our way right to the Pewter City Gym and take down Brock's cohort with the iconic one-liner. And then we finish up training and getting some levels for our first gym battle with Brock. The battle with Brock went relatively easily, but I did get a little bit nervous when his Onyx landed a Screech, because at that point, if he would have hit me with anything, he would have likely one-shot my Mankey. But thankfully, the janky critical hit system in this game allowed me to crit him and finish him in 2 hits, leading to an overall smooth first gym badge. Off to Mount Moon we go. We get through the trainers on the way to Clefairy Mountain with no problem at all, but we accidentally killed the Spearow we encountered here, so we did not get to catch anything. However, we do end up catching a really juicy Zubat that we named after Captain Knots.
Who's gonna think he's Captain Knots?
While working through the mountain, Briddies was able to evolve into a Nidorina, and we did have a rather close call with Pidgey, but other than that, we were able to get through the mountain with little to no problems at all. And with the power of editing, we walked right by the Fossil Maniac and grabbed the Helix Fossil, even though we can't use it because we caught Zubat, and then we made short work of Team Rocket and made our way off to Cerulean City. Now this encounter with Gary is actually pretty interesting because he doesn't really throw us that much shade. He more so just makes small talk with us about the Pokemon that he's caught and asks us a little bit about what we've been up to. So for that, I'm actually going to give him a couple more points up for morality. The battle itself is actually pretty easy, although he has caught a couple new rarer Pokemon, so I'm actually going to give him a couple notches back towards his technical ability as a trainer. We made our way through Nugget Bridge and headed straight for Charmander, which I ended up naming after Smoka for Smoka Tide Pod. That's Smoka_Tide Pod, and you can find him on Twitch as well. And then we worked our way over to this next route, and if you look on the town map, it actually is a different route. And caught ourselves a Bellsprout, which I named after Topher because he has a big mouth. We helped Bill out of his permanent furry suit, which got us the SS Hand ticket, and can we talk about how weird it is that this grown man is giving a 9-year-old child a ticket to an adult party on a cruise ship? But I digress, because they kind of treat kids weird in this game. Anyway, we made it down to Misty's gym, and we cleared out her trainers and did the last little bit of training required to prepare ourselves with the impending battle. For final preparations, we taught Mankey Mega Punch and also evolved our Nidorina into a Nidoqueen. Topher also evolved into a Weepinbell, and now his mouth is a little bit more accurately represented. Now going into the fight with Misty, I was actually really concerned because her Starmie is really fast, and in this generation it has a high special stat, so it's pretty tanky as well. But thankfully we were able to blast right through her Staryu, and Starmie thankfully only took 3 hits, and we were off to Vermilion City. On the way we did encounter an Abra, but it obviously teleported away, as you can guess. We got through all the trainers on the way to Vermilion City really easily, but my ADHD brain forgot to encounter, let alone capture, a Pokemon in this area. The first thing we did in Vermilion City was make our way to the Pokemon Fan Club, where the chairman told us a really creepy story about a Rapidash in exchange for a bicycle voucher, which we then took to Cerulean City in exchange for a bike. We then headed to the route east of Vermilion City and walked right past Diglett Cave because I'm not trying to get my entire Nuzlocke ended by a level 31 Dugtrio. Ended up catching ourselves a Drowsy, which we named Monadhan, who is formerly known as Brutal, who we named Gary after in this playthrough. We then finished up the trainers in this area and made our way onto the SSN. Again, it's kind of weird and awkward that a child this young is on a literal party cruise ship. We took advantage of everyone's drunken stupor and made quick work of all the trainers on the ship and made a beeline towards Gary and the captain. And Pikachu is pretty stoked about us stealing everything from all the cabins. This time Gary again is using the nice guy approach, only coming off slightly condescending. The battle, however, is his worst yet. He really hasn't improved at all since the last battle. Extremely underwhelming, and so far I would say he is nicer than he is a good trainer. His technical ability is really starting to suffer at this point. We make it into the captain's quarters and give him a back rub for cut, which is kind of weird, but we needed to get to the gym leader. And we also get likely growing trauma because the adults in this game are kind of weird. At this point, we still needed a few levels in order to fight Lieutenant Surge on even ground, so I decided to fight a few Diglets, and then this happened.
A Dugtrio, this is horrifying. Something might be dying right now. Oh my god. Oh no, what do we do? Run?
Thankfully, the Dugtrio kind of just messed with us and never actually attacked, and we were able to get away from it. And also our levels in order to fight Lieutenant Surge. who was way too easy. Get fucked, Lieutenant Surge. We made our way off to Rock Tunnel, destroyed all the trainers on the way there, and were able to catch this Magnemite on the way as well. Rock Tunnel itself was really easy. At this point, we're starting to steamroll, and it's really starting to feel like nothing's going to be able to stop us. We make it into Lavender Town, aka Sad Boy Town, which has some of the best music of any city in any Pokemon game in my opinion, and then head straight to Celadon City to try and prepare for Erica.
Run up on that bitch. Oh my god, dude, my encounter's fucking Kadabra right now.
We were able to catch really easy, and it put us in a really good position to probably putting some hurting on Erica. But she did put up a surprisingly good fight, putting her at probably the toughest gym leader we've faced up until this point. And just like that, the first half of my Nuzlocke is complete, albeit the easy half. And I'm going to leave at this point because, to be honest, this is the first time I've ever made a video like this, and to mitigate some of the workload on myself, I'm going to be splitting it into 2 different parts. So if you enjoyed this, feel free to like and subscribe to find out who dies in the second part, and also to stay tuned for Crystal, as I will be starting that after I finish Yellow. So with that, I bid you farewell. Golden Tater out.